Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's 5:30, and I'll call to order the organizational meeting for the Baldwin County Board of Education. Please, Mike, would you lead us in opening prayer? Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As this is our organizational meeting, I will be moving through to those items of the business. According to board policy, every year the Baldwin County Board of Education will hold an election for new officers. Tonight, that is our organizational meeting, and we will be doing that. Moving on to those action items, and the first order of business is the election of a new president. At this time, I'll open the nominations for the office of president.
I'd like to nominate Shannon Colley.
Nomination for Shannon Colley.
I'll second that.
Second, are there any other nominations? If not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of Shannon Colley as president, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? No? Ms. Colley? We shall change seats. As soon as we load up all our paraphernalia, right?
You know you have to behave if you're sitting next to me, right?
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Oh. Hand that back to her, please. You can.
It's all right.
Sure.
I Thank you, sir. All right, then moving on, we will open up for nominations for the office of vice president. Do I hear any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Andrea Lindsay.
All right, are there any other nominations? Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Congratulations, Ms. Lindsay. Right, and with that, that ends our organizational meeting, and I need a motion to adjourn that meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, and we will go ahead and open up our regular business meeting. Change over in the computer here, sorry. There we go, okay. All right, so we will go ahead and open up this meeting, and we will forego the pledge and prayer and go right into recognition, of our visitors. We have Nicole King here with us this evening. Hey. Good, all right. Please do.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I would like to first thank y'all so much for everything that y'all have done to help the teachers and employees in Baldwin County this school year. Tonight, you're going to be considering an extension of COVID leave for Baldwin County employees. Of everything that has occurred this year, this is the top thing that people have been concerned about. A number of our employees have reached out to me about the concerns they had about not having the number of days, which was 10 up until December of last year. So from the time of the end of March till now, no one has been allowed to take the true COVID leave days. So tonight I'm going to encourage you to do that. We have a lot of our employees who have unfortunately lost days due to being out for an extended time with COVID. And especially, this is going to be specifically for those employees with a COVID positive test. I can tell you this, our members are going to be so happy. This is going to be such a relief to them, as I've had many calls from people who are saying, how am I ever going to pay back the sick days? So I would please urge you to vote yes for our employees, and I would like to especially thank Tiffany Wilson and her team for working on this, and John Wilson and Sarah for trying to find a way to help our employees through this. And along with the $500 bonus that Baldwin has done, I do believe that this group, I'm so proud to be a part of Baldwin County. You guys are really showing our employees how much they mean. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and next we have Dr. Liu.
Dr. Lou Cappanosi, President of the Common Sense Campaign. I've given each of you a handout. With the limited time, I'm only going to be able to speak to some of the enclosures that I have here. I want to point out here that there's finally some awakening in Montgomery about the degree of problems we're having in education. Senator Elliott talked about it on the radio the other day. Senator Orr is talking about math. The governor has sent signals about Common Core as a problem. We have 4 votes to get rid of Common Core. We need her to be the 5th vote. The bottom line is that this question about Common Core is at the heart of this issue. So let me just go, if you will take enclosure 2. It's a graph about basic level math and NAEP. The enclosure shows a convincing line of what happened once we started to take Common Core. We are on the incline in NAEP math scores until 2010, levels off, goes down. You're now at 52nd in NAEP, in math, 48th in ELA. The latest PARCA score, I mean, the latest, I think it was in PARCA, but it's I get the acronyms led, but whatever the latest one is, 14% of 8th graders were able to pass the latest score. ACAP, that's what it is. Okay, it certainly suggests that there's something going on that's not good. Okay, if you look at enclosure 3, enclosure 3 is an Eagle Forum study that basically shows that what the governor said in 2019, that we had eradicated Common Core math, is absolutely wrong. Now, we argue that her staff misled her, but this is a study by Eagle Forum, and we have talked to the various State Board of Education members about it with one of our own math experts. The fact of the matter is, the left side shows Common Core, the right side shows 2019 math study. There's no difference. Go to the last enclosure. This is your ACAP study. Basically, what ends up happening here is, if you look carefully at it, we have 18 schools that are under 40% proficiency in ELA. Now, I've used 40 as a score. I mean, 40 is terrible, okay, but just looking at that, that's 18. On the math side, you've got 30 that are 40 or under. According to what I've counted here, you have 5 in math that are in the teens. Now, I realize that it's a mixed bag in many respects, but the failure level is awfully high. And I will conclude on this. I hear the please end. Let me just suggest this. The monies that we have argued about not going to a $70 million VOTEC could be used to alleviate the problems here, giving the teachers, the principals, the resources that are necessary to dedicate how we're going to dig ourselves out of this. So thank you for the extra time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Lou.
Okay.
All right, Commander Cox, we'll have you up next, and just because Dr. Lou and Nicole are frequent visitors with us, I just want to remind you that we do allow 3 minutes. We ask that you not speak any names specifically, and time will start when you start.
Good evening, Mr. Tyler, members of the board. We recognize for the record on November 12th, the U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals reaffirmed its stay against the Biden administration's OSHA ETS vaccine mandates in BST Holdings versus OSHA, also known as employee vaccine mandates. We note the court specifically cited and deemed unnecessary all of OSHA's prescribed COVID mandates, including forced unconstitutional vaccinations, COVID testing, and mask mandates. We also submit for your review and consideration, already provided to Ms. Dawson, a number of attachments that we don't have time for this evening, but please review them when they're distributed to you by Ms. Dawson. Moving on, I just want to bring your attention to a couple of things. One is a roster of 140 medical emergencies and deaths among youth and young athletes in 2021. And this is truly tip of the iceberg that we need to be looking at in our student athletes. Among teenage, college, and young professional athletes, deaths and medical emergencies following probable or possible sudden onset cardiovascular failure are rare. The 140 plus health emergencies listed in attachment 2 among this global population of young, healthy, physically fit athletes have all occurred in 2021 since the rollout of government COVID vaccination programs worldwide. Most deaths have occurred since May, when vaccines became more widely available to youth and young adults. The provenance of these data is indisputable, as they mostly occurred in front of large crowds comprising teammates, sporting officials, family members, fans, and first responders. Many of the emergencies were recorded live. At this point in our investigation, we've been able to confirm many of the victims had been vaccinated for COVID or were playing for sports franchises, universities, and school districts who had issued vaccine mandates to them or strongly encouraged their vaccination to participate in sporting competition. For comparative purposes, pre-COVID, over the past 100 years, there have been an average of 5 athletes per year who had passed away from heart problems during their career or soon after. And this list of 140 plus is full of 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old children, student athletes at every level of participation, and some into their 20s. But please take a look at that. Okay, moving on in that same vein, with appreciation for a major shift in outlook for the board, I wanted to bring, in this concept of excess time, or excess deaths, we have Alabama at 23% excess deaths. And we are presenting new and urgent safety information on vaccine-induced injuries with potential severe future impacts on students, teachers, staff, and parents in Baldwin County. I'm going to go ahead and move on just to, a couple of the numbers that really stand out on this. And
Commander Cox, we're going to need you to finish up, okay?
I'm right on it. These are public data from England, okay, through Public Health England, that show that they have had just over the summer that their excess mortality is at 24% above baseline in heart failure deaths, and 20% for ischemic heart disease, 16% for strokes, and 18% for other circulatory diseases. And the indications are, if you look at a couple of the other attachments that we put in there, attachment 3 and 4 in particularly, that these coincide perfectly with the rollout of vaccines worldwide. Okay, I want to be clear. I'm not an anti-vaxxer.
And I do have all of your
That's right.
information, and I'll make sure
look
that the
at it.
rest of the board gets it tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. All right, and last we have Pat, is it Lieb?
I'm sorry I was late. I had a hard time finding this
That's all right.
in the dark. I'm from Robertsdale. I was born and raised in Fairhope, and I'm Mr. Christenberry from Old Timey Feed. I've been in Robertsdale since I retired from the Navy in, 96. I was stationed in Pensacola. Bought a home in the Oak Hill Crest subdivision, prior to them building the Robertsdale Elementary School, the new school in 2008. Since 2008, the traffic has been an issue for the entire Oak Hill Crest subdivision. I have a petition I just got signed by about 11 neighbors today. There's a traffic jam. They don't abide by the city ordinance. I've talked to other people, I can't say names. I've spoken to the city officials. They referred me here. They're saying it's a Baldwin County Board of Education issue, so I'm here. I've been to the Robertsdale City Council, no luck. And I'll keep coming, and my neighbors will start coming with me every month until something is done. We're landlocked in the Oak Hill Crest subdivision. The trade school is there. The school is there. Traffic's backed up from 1:30 until 2:30 or 3. They get there before the 2 o'clock ordinance. In the morning, they get there at 6:45 and block both lanes before the 7:15 ordinance. I've talked, and nothing's being done at the city level, even though we pay taxes for the city for traffic and streets. The trade school is also a county property. There's students there. If there's a fire in our subdivision, I would love to see the demonstration that a fire truck can fit in that 90+ degree turn to put out a fire in my subdivision. My neighbors are concerned. I've been there since '96. One neighbor was there since '86 when it first was developed, and they've had no luck. We've all gone through the city. I'm probably the first one to come to a board meeting here. My neighbors who just moved and sold their house because of no luck in 3 years, did emails, did phone calls, no luck with the county. So I'm here in person, and I've got other people who will come. I have a letter from the neighbor across the street who just bought the house. They had to go to Montgomery today for an emergency. They have a letter. I didn't make copies. I don't know if I need to give you these. If I can get a copy back, I'd appreciate it. But could I have a copy of this?
Yes.
Okay, and thank you for your time.
Ms. Lieb, if I could,
Yes, sir.
I was asking Mrs. Zine, our assistant superintendent over elementary schools, because you had mentioned to Louise, my secretary, about a traffic problem.
Yes.
And indeed, if others have come, I haven't seen them because you're the first one that has mentioned a traffic problem. And I asked her specifically, has there been anybody complaining about the traffic problem? And she says, nothing's changed on the pattern of the elementary school. Now, I appreciate you sharing, and we'll look into that because this is the first knowledge I have of any traffic issues at Robertsdale Elementary.
It's been addressed, but at the wrong level.
Well, that's okay. Well,
That's why I'm here.
You're at the right place now.
Yeah.
So
I'm
we'll
retired Navy, and I said I'll
thank
do
you for
it.
your service. We'll take a look at that.
So who do I give this to for copies? And I just need a copy back.
We'll take it.
Okay.
And we'll take this, and then we can get it back to you if that's all
Can
right.
we do that? Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. We'll do that. We'll do that.
Thank you, Ms. Lieb. Appreciate that.
All right, and I got a little out of order there, so we'll go ahead and move into our letters of commendation.
Try to do a little bit better this time than last time. Mr. Stewart, don't ask. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing last time. We have 2 letters of commendation tonight. The first is going to be, we have 2 representatives from Orange Beach Elementary School here, Principal Mary Catherine Law and AP Cindy Hart. Earlier this year, Orange Beach Elementary was recognized as a 2021 National Blue Ribbon School. The recognition is based on a school's overall academic performance. Only 325 schools were given this distinction in the country, and Orange Beach Elementary School was the only winner from our district. These ladies recently traveled to Washington, D.C. to accept their award with hope, and I'm told they took pictures with Tommy Tuberville for all you Auburn fans. So if...
I'll excuse y'all for that.
You're right. So, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Tyler, if you'll come take a picture, and we have Mary Catherine and Cindy here with us tonight.
I would thank y'all for that. That was a wise move.
We can start oranges for Orange Beach.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank y'all. We also have tonight Spanish Fort High School's girls volleyball head coach Gretchen Boykin. Coach Boykin and the team were recently awarded the 2021 American Volleyball Coaches Association Team Academic Award with the highest team GPA. In a letter to the principal, Brian Williamson, it says, "In this uncertain time, leadership matters. While some programs lost their ability to compete this season, volleyball coaches continue to demonstrate their important role supporting players' academic achievements. Gretchen was a critical anchor for players adjusting to a changing school experience. Gretchen did not win this award, the team did, but the encouragement to stay focused on academics means this accomplishment was not happenstance. And most importantly, she has won this award several years in a row." Coach? And I do believe Coach wanted to say just a few words.
Sure, I'll be happy to. I'm a coach, I can talk, right? Well, first of all, I appreciate everything you guys do for our student athletes, and I think most coaches really put a huge emphasis on academics. You go to school to get an education. The sports just makes it better. So without the school system and everything you guys do, then they wouldn't have the opportunities that they do. So thank y'all.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. I'll send it to you.
Turn it.
That was good stuff. All right, so we will go ahead and you have received minutes from October 21st, 27th, and November 8th, our meetings. If I can get a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Ms. Dawson and a second by Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion on the minutes? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Colley. Amendments to the agenda. Amend number 6, leave of absence of personnel. Number 8, retirement and resignations of personnel. Number 9, transfer intent to transfer of personnel. Number 11, employment of personnel. Number 12, extra work for extended periods. Add number 7, rescission of retirement and resignations of personnel. Number 14, dissemination of proposed board single-member election districts. Number 15, approval of contract alt-appoint. Number 16, sale of Creole Weeks School.
I move we amend the agenda.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Christenberry and a second by Ms. Dawson. Is there any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Agenda item 1, bids proposals. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the low bidders meeting specifications for goods and services for the system as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Stewart and a second by, who wants it?
Lindsay.
Miss Lindsay?
I was just louder, I'm sorry.
All right, is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Agenda item 2, owner engineer proposals. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the contract with H.M. Young and Associates, Inc. for engineering services for various projects as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
I have a motion by Mr. Johnson and a second by Ms. Lindsay. Is there any discussion or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 3, resolution declaring emergency and authorization for C&P emergency procurement measures. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the resolution for an emergency declaration and authorization of C&P emergency procurement methods as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Christenberry and a second by Mrs. Dawson. Is there any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 4, resolution for COVID-19 leave. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the resolution for COVID-19 relief leave as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mrs. Dawson and a second by Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 5, approval of contracts, Paint Slingers. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the contract with Paint Slingers to be paid for after-school child care funds as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Johnson and a second by Mr. Stewart. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 6, leave of absence of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the leave of absence of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lindsay and a second by Mr. Christenberry. Is there any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
Agenda item 7, decision of retirement and resignations of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve to rescind the resignation of personnel as provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion by Mrs. Dawson and a second by Mrs. Lindsay. Is there any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 8, retirement and resignations of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the retirement and resignations of personnel as amended, provided to board members under separate cover.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Christenberry and a second by Mr. Stewart. Is there any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes.
Agenda item 9, transfer intent to transfer of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the transfer intent to transfer of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lindsay and a second by Mrs. Dawson. Is there any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 10, rescission of employment of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve to rescind the employment of personnel as provided to board members under separate cover.
So move.
I have a motion by Mr. Christenberry and a second by Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 11, employment of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the employment of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Stewart and a second by Mr. Christenberry. Is there any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 12, extra work for extended periods. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the extra worker personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
Second. A motion by Mrs. Dawson and a second by Ms. Lindsay. Is there any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 13, 2021-2022 revised extra work wages. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the revised 2021-2022 extra work wages as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So move.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Christenberry and a second by Mrs. Dawson. Is there any discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 14, dissemination of proposed board single-member election districts. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the dissemination of the proposed board single-member election districts to the public for consideration and input as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Johnson and a second by Ms. Lindsay. Is there any discussion? I would like to ask if we can possibly get those printouts. Thank you. Yeah, I knew that had been the, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Agenda item 15, approval of contract AltaPoint. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the contract with AltaPoint to be paid from ESSER funds as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So move.
I have a motion by Mr. Christenberry and a second by Ms. Lindsay. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item 16, sale of Creole Weeks School. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to authorize the superintendent and board president to execute the sale and transfer of the property to St. John the Baptist Catholic Church, 10800 St. John's Lane, Foley, Alabama, as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lindsay and a second by Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion?
Is that property adjacent to that church? Yes, sir. I mean, that's right there at it. Good deal.
All right, any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
That's all I have, Ms. Cawley. I just want to say, that's all I have. I'm just going to make a few things. We met this morning, John, myself, and Sarah. We were able to meet Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth. Chris Elliott was with him and several other delegates, and kind of really a refreshing voice, things he had to say. Very complimentary of Baldwin County school system. He talked about he lives in the Guntersville area, and his children go to Guntersville County school system. His wife's a teacher in the county school system. A very, very refreshing voice to listen to him. He's very excited and wants to know more about our Career Tech Academy. So that was a great meeting there. In the morning we have 8:30 breakfast. Chef Dan wants to show off his new coffee Starbucks type bar, and then I'm speaking to retired educators at 10. Then we have the ARC Thanksgiving lunch in Foley every year, and I think there's one other meeting after that. I'm not sure what it is, but I wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
Thank you. Just happy Thanksgiving to everyone,
Yes.
too.
Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I think we'll stay here a while.
Motion to adjourn. We love each other.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Second and third. You're talking about the one in Birmingham? Oh, you're talking